Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I tried to do a Facebook Live, but Facebook wasn't letting me go live this afternoon, so I thought I'd just pre-record this video for you to show you how I made these cards. They're a little bit similar to what I'd call a patchworking technique, where you cut up your designer series paper into bits and then stick them back on in your chosen order. And I've used the Pattern Party designer series paper, which is a host gift. It's a host reward gift, which is $31 from your host rewards. From now until midnight tonight, you can still get this gorgeous paper. There's 48 sheets of gorgeousness. One side of the Pattern Party is actually coloured. It's got like a rainbow of colours in the various designs, and the other side, if you flip over, is monochrome, black and white. So you can leave as is, or you can colour it with your desired colour choice using blends, markers, ink, whatever you choose. So I've actually made two cards, one monochrome and one rainbow coloured, to show you what they look like. The first thing I wanted to show you was how to actually cut the paper. So you've got your 12 by 12 sheets, and what I do is I cut my paper to a card front size. So I go 10 centimetres by 14 and a half, so that will fit inside the frame of a normal C6 size card, which is half an A4, folded in half, so it's a quarter of an A4 size. So you can hold up your piece of designer series paper and just make sure that it's going to fit within those parameters. Doesn't really matter because we're actually using a die to cut out the rectangle shape after we've put the patterns together. But I just wanted to show you that that's the size that I cut to. You'll get about 6 out of one 12 by 12 sheet, and you'll want to mix and match your patterns. So I'm only going to show you one. I'm cutting one today, but on this video, but you'll want to actually cut about 6 to 8 of them. Probably 8 is ideal, 8 different designs, so that you can mix and match your triangles and have a number of different designs on your card. So once you've cut this size, what you'll do is you'll cut along the diagonal, and I just use my trimmer to measure corner to corner, eyeballing that. Now this is the only tricky part. You just want to keep it together and rotate it 90 degrees or thereabouts, and line up those corners again, and then once it's in place, just run your trimmer blade along. Then you've actually got 4 triangles that you're working with, but they've each got a flat side, so you're going to use that flat side and again cut each of these triangles in half. I like to arrange them on my trimmer just so I keep them in the correct position, because when I go to create my patchwork, it'll be a lot easier if you've got them all lined up in their original position. Then all you do is swap out each triangle to get your varied design, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So here's my last one. You'll end up with 8 triangles this way. They're not all the same shape and size, and there really is only one way for them to go. But as I said, keep them all lined up and you won't get mixed up with where things go. All right, so that's my first sheet cut, and I would go ahead and cut, as I said, 6 to 7 more sheets, or however many patterns I want on my card. I'm just going to leave that there, and then what I would do is I spread them all out, and I would exchange each pattern and pop that in a different spot, so I end up with a card front that is a direct mixture or combination of all of the different designer series papers. I have here a Flirty Flamingo piece, which I'm going to stick everything onto, and I'll just show you how I do that. I eyeball it, make sure that your center pieces are lined up, and you don't have to worry too much about your edges, because as I said, we're going to be using a die, the Stitched Rectangles die. Also another little tip for you is don't use too much glue. You just use a smidge of glue, just a tiny bit of glue like that. We're going to be running through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine a couple of times, so it will definitely help to press all of these bits down so that you don't end up with little bits flapping up. So you'll go ahead and stick all that together and just leave it to dry for a little bit. Here's one I prepared earlier. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to run this through with the stitched rectangle die. If I can find it, here we go. So I've got the one that's just a little bit smaller than your normal card front. And I'll grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I've got all my plates on, and I've got a cutting plate on the bottom and a cutting plate on the top. So just run that through. Now you'll need to keep these plates here because you're going to also cut a shape out of your piece of black. And I'm using the Stitched So Sweetly die die set, and this is the one that I'm using out of that set. And I'm going to cut it out of the middle because you won't see the middle once everything's mounted together, and you will find that you can pop your patchwork part onto the black part, and that will provide a nice little frame for it once we've cut it out. So while I'm here with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I'm actually going to run my patchwork piece. So I've just cut this out, and just be a bit careful as you're peeling this off the back. Remember, you've got some little bits there, so you just want to peel it really, really gently from the edge. And then the second part you need to be really gentle with is getting your piece out of the middle. You'll see that there's actually double stitching, so on the inside and the outside. We're only going to be seeing the inside stitching, but you just want to ease that back gently, peeling it from the stitched rectangle die, and you should not get any tearing. So there it is, it's all nice and flat. I'm going to make it even flatter now by running through with my embossing folder, which I had here. That's probably underneath something. Here we go. So this is the floral 3D folder. It's actually on our retiring list. It is still available. I love this one because it gives you an all-over pattern, and that's exactly what you need for this quilting technique. So this is like your top stitch, your quilting stitch, if you like, over the top, and you'll see what I mean. It just adds a really subtle pattern to your piece, and it helps to press all of those corners down so that they're not sitting up. We're actually sitting something over the top of the middle, but you'll see the edges are nice and flat and nice and even, and you don't see any of the underneath card. So that's ready to go. I'm going to pop that on the top of my basic black piece of cardstock. I'm just going to put a bead of my Tombow glue there, and that goes on there. Beautiful. All right, so I've already cut this piece out, so I can put that to the side, ready to go. I've also got my my gingham ribbon, and I think this is carried over, this ribbon, from the holiday catalogue. You can still get it. I love my black gingham ribbon. I think it might even be going in the new catalogue. I just can't remember. Those of you who've got your new catalogue, you'll be able to see that at the back in the accessories section, and if it is still available. But the black and white goes really nicely, whether you're using the rainbow or the black and white version of this card. It's going to tie in beautifully. You can colour this with your Stampin' Blends as well. Alrighty, so I've actually got a different greeting here that I'm going to use because the original greeting I used was actually from the Dressed to Impress stamp set, and that has now officially retired. There are plenty of things still available though in the last chance list, and if you go to my online store and click on the last chance products, you will see there are still some bargains up to 50% off the original catalogue price. you will see, you will see those, and you'll be able to add them to your cart until 11:50 tonight. Let me just give this a zap, and then we'll put our card together. Okay, so this one just says, hey there, pretty simple, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back, and just about 4 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for a finishing touch, I'm actually using the iridescent, I think they're called iridescent jewels. I think that's what they're called, and they are also still available. In the online store. You can get yourself a sheet of these, and they just add a little bit of a sparkle to your card, just very subtle. And then that is ready to go right onto my card base, which of course is also Flirty Flamingo, just to keep everything. That is actually one of the colours in the rainbow of colours that is on the designer series paper. So there it is. Let me bring my black and white one back in. And as you can see, you would be able to switch out the greeting of these and say anything that you like. This is from the retired Dress to Impress one. But yeah, any greeting would go on that. And look, you could even just stick to the stripes and spots if you wanted to create a card for a guy. You don't need to include the flowers, although that black and white one does lend itself to either, any gender. And I think, I think this could also be a really lovely birthday card. You could even say Happy Mother's Day on there. So I hope you guys are inspired to use your stash of designer series paper that you might have lying around. We've all got some designer series paper that we haven't used, and this is a really fun way to do it. And you can feature many different patterns on the one card as well. Without it being sort of too overpowering. Your greeting is still in the foreground, and you can add little accents as you go. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll be back with more inspiration for you at a later date. Bye.